Welcome to the Lurker deck. Oh my god. This is such a fun idea, and I'm sad that I don't see it more often. I think it finally picked up traction, and I'm super excited because this is probably one of the funnest decks I played in Lab, and I enjoy it probably more than anything else. So let's get into it. What is this deck all about? It's about Lurk. If you don't know what Lurk is if you attack and there's a Lurk on the top of your deck, every Lurker gets +1/+0. Now, we start off the deck with Scrying Sands, just to predict, and then also -2/-0, very good in the early game to keep your early Lurkers alive so you can keep attacking. Then you have Sharkling, just a 1/2/1 mana, pretty strong. Then you have this guy, which is the complete opposite. He's pretty strong. And I don't know what this is, but it's a hatchling, fear, lurk, really good on turn one. People can remove it, but you're trading removal for a 1-drop, and that's always, it feels good. Bone Skewer is so important. I'm sorry to tell you this. I don't like telling people like, hey, this purple that's going to cost you a lot of like equal to 1 champion. You need this for this deck. And it's because like you can do some crazy stuff with Pike, and that's what's important. Is that an ally strikes an enemy and then moves to the top of your deck. So you get a guaranteed Lurker, and you can probably use this with Rek'Sai or Pike and just insta-kill a big enemy, attack, and then you get pretty big buffs. Call the Pack. This is better than card draw because you get a Lurker and then you get 2 random Lurkers in hand. So these could be really big dudes or just expendable guys, which honestly in this deck are both very useful. And so you get a guaranteed Lurker and then you get Lurks in your hand that you can play. So it's a very super useful card. Definitely need 3 of them in your deck. Ebb, I'll be honest. Okay, hear me out. I have this in here just as cheap removal. I didn't want to put non-Lurkers in this deck. So I was like, okay, let's put a little bit of removal, right? And so this is what I came up with. I felt like this is the best that I could do. Because just deals 2, you get a flow, heal. It's like this good back and forth. Red Fin, grant enemy vulnerable. And it's the same as the Sharkling. But, the vulnerable actually does a lot more than you'd think, and that's why it's in here. Snapjaw Swarm is a very fun card where it just does a free attack, so its quality in the late game is actually pretty high if you've lurked a couple of times. Rek'Sai is so huge. When it lurks or attacks, grant lurks everywhere +1. And then at the round end, you have to place it in your deck. But if he levels up, he gains Overwhelm. You get 3 Lurkers in your hand. And yeah. And then he doesn't have to go back to your deck. So he's already better than... who's he? What's her name? 3/2, Katarina. He's already better than Katarina because he actually stays on the battlefield. And he's going to be huge because he has to attack with 10 damage. So... yeah, be careful. Like, such a strong card. This is why making someone vulnerable is super important because you can definitely hit him hard with Rek'Sai. You can get +3 damage at 1 turn with Lurk. How you do that? Really simple. You can only do it once per turn, so it's really important that if your top card is Rek'Sai and then you have Rek'Sai on the battlefield, his passive will hit twice. Because you'll get the Lurk stack, because he's on top. Then you'll get this one. When I Lurk, that will hit separately. Then the one on the battlefield, when he attacks, you'll get it again. So that's 3 times. I know it's kind of weird, but they kind of put it twice on there. So that's why it hits twice when he Lurks. Super strong card. Let's move on to its... his Caller, Predict. This is very crucial. Normally people would put the 2/3 Predict in here. I decided not to because I was like, listen, let's just have him. Everything's a freaking Lurker. We're going to go ham. And that's the point of this deck is we're going to go very extreme all in, all or nothing. Just everything's lurk. We're gonna be hitting hard, really hard. So when people have like an 8 drop, we'll be hitting it with a 1 drop trading for it, and that's the idea. Pike is very important because he gets to transform from death from below when he lurks. He has to deal 15 damage to flip. He also has quick attack and lurk. And death from below is summon Pike striking enemy. And this is where it's fucking bullshit. Is that it's so funny because he's a removal spell and then he's on the battlefield. And then if you use Pike's Bone, you can put him back on top of there and do it all again. And that's why this is super important. This is why hitting hard is awesome. When he flips, he kills when he kills an enemy, strike the weakest enemy, so this can stack and wipe the board, and that's pretty ridiculous. And that's why Rek'Sai is the biggest enabler, and he's also like this late game carry, but Pike is definitely like a good focal point around the deck to play around. Rite of Negation, hear me out. The reason why I have this is literally just because, counter spells are really good, and this one, killing an enemy or destroying one of your mana gems is going to be really like a low payment, so you don't lose everything. And so that's why I have 2 of them. I feel like 3 is just too much. Now you're just itching to use it, but 2 is like good to have. Now we get to the big boys. This one, the Under Titan. I'm not gonna say that name. There's no way I know how to say that name. If he has 8+ power, give him Fearsome, Overwhelm, and Spell Shield this round. And yeah, he's a purple. I'll be honest, you don't need 3 of him, but it's ideal to have 3 of them. He's just a 5-drop 2/6. Yeah, he's pretty strong. And then you have the Dune Breaker, which is just Overwhelm, Lurk. It's a pretty good 6-drop when you get on to turn 6 to like 10, where you just can play him and you pretty much just hit hard. Has a higher health than most people, so you'll at least be able to attack with him twice, maybe attack and block, which is probably a big problem with his deck, is that you don't like to block with it. And that's the whole deck. Just a quick little deck to explain. Here is the whole thing if you guys are curious. But I'll catch you later.